Hello, everyone. How are you? I see George is here. Hi, George. Eleanor and Stan, hello. And Lynn and Dave, good morning. Joanne, good morning, Saturday friends. That's right, these are our friends. And Stevie, good morning, Stevie. Michael, good morning. Michael, I don't know if you saw this, but I mentioned you on Wednesday in Yoga for Wellness about Yosemite because you would tell me you would go to Yosemite. So I always think of that. And when I was there, I remembered you being there in previous years. So anyway, mentioned you there. Nancy, good morning. So for those of you, that I have not mentioned, and I think most of you, maybe not a few though, I was in Yosemite last weekend and I was looking this morning, there's snow and it's 27 degrees and you no longer can spend the night there. And then I don't know if any of you have watched the movie Free Solo with the guy who in 2018 scaled or climbed El Capitan without ropes. Wow, so crazy. So I had my parents over last night, my sister and her family. They went with me to Yosemite and we watched it. And we had just been there sitting in front of El Capitan, watching a couple of the climbers try to make it. Oh boy, it's just my dad said, I don't know if they have guts or they're nuts. I thought that was interesting to say those two things. Anyway, it's spectacular. So highly recommend going to the national parks if you haven't done that already. Good morning, Carolyn and Lauren and maybe Rick, who met in Yosemite. So welcome. This will hopefully last weekend. I thought that I could maybe go live from Yosemite, and I did have reception sometime. And then when people would go on, it would not work. So hopefully you were able to participate in one of the recorded classes that I have. And I think it's important that we understand that health and healing and wellness is a daily habitual activity. And whether you already have those healthy habits in your life or not, raising the awareness to the need for that, because we need to have a daily practice, and it can be a short practice or a long practice. Some personalities will adopt a longer practice. And it's really important because we are bombarded on a daily basis with things that cause stress. And the word stress is whenever there's a demand or something that happens that's greater than whatever. So let me think of how to, I know that there's a dictionary definition, but stress is when there is a stimulation that causes a reaction. And if the ability to respond to that stimulation is appropriate, then we deal with that situation and we are able to move on from that. However, if that demand is greater than what we are able to handle over time, that erodes. And it's either going to erode the physical body. So if there's a demand in joints in the body or the physical body, eventually over time there's wear and tear and we have issues or ailments that show up. And then on the parts of you that I cannot see, and I'd like to say that there's more to you that I cannot see than I can see. So there's more to us as who we are as people than this physical package we walk around in. And so that layer of you that we cannot see, if the stress that you're under over and over, so let's say we watch the news and let's say in 2020, we worry about, oh my gosh, what's going to happen here? And there's been so many opportunities this year for that to happen. Watching news, wondering what's going to happen in November, wondering what's going to happen when the cold weather comes, when just whatever it is, wondering when we're going to get back to natural life or our old life, or are we going to get back to that place? So all of us at some level are experiencing information we're bringing into our beings and then having to deal with that, whether it triggers fear or scarcity or whatever it does on a deeper emotional layer. So what I'd like to say is that daily we need to be able to either deal with what we're allowing to come into ourselves, or either handle what's coming in or learn what your threshold is and not allowing things to come into your body and mind that affect you. So I hope that I raise awareness to that what we consume, whether that's in eating and creating the body that we have, or what we consume by what we listen to, what we watch, and what we expose ourselves to, that all of that has to be digested and has to be eliminated. And so the physical asana practice today is a perfect opportunity for us to release stored up tension that occurred when you were watching, listening to, or feeling stress, and especially if there's stress in a greater level than what you're able to handle. Okay, so hopefully I was able to articulate that in a way that makes sense to you, so that you realize that there is a need for this, that there is a great need for stress management and for learning how to manage what's in our tissues, which is stored in our tissues, and learning what to participate in. So if you've been with me for a while, you'll know that I choose what I participate in. And I don't watch news, and I could sit here and have a conversation with you about all the stories that are in the news because I know about them. And so you have to take care of this, of what you see and what you don't see. So your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual self needs self-care and really needs to be done on a daily basis. George is here. Yeah. Hi, Cindy. And I don't know if that was Cindy or George or both. And then Frida, good morning. Bye. Oh, here. Great. You're here. Bye. Yeah. So not sure what any of you were able to get in what I said now, but now is the time for us to take care of ourselves, mind, body, and soul. And I guess that if you don't get anything else out of what I was just explaining, I hope that you get this, that you are a body, a mind, and a soul. You're all of these things. And when we come to this mat, that's what we take care of. It's not just the physical body. And taking care of the physical body is great and important. So that's a big part of this too. It's all of it. So for today's practice, this will be the last class of 2020 on Saturday that I teach. This is, after this, I'm off for the rest of the year. There's plenty of recorded classes for you to watch. And I will be teaching a live YouTube class on Thursday, Yoga for Osteoporosis. So if you'd like to practice with me one more time live, come on Thursday at 11 to 12:15 Pacific Standard Time. So for today's practice, grabbing either pillows from your house or cushions from your sofa. So this is an option to grab something from your house, okay? Or if you don't have that, grab a bolster. So for those of you that practice yoga, that have made that commitment to practice yoga, you may have purchased a bolster. And if you are going to purchase one, Hugger Mugger is the brand that I love because it'll maintain the integrity. A little more expensive, maybe around $80 to $100 for a bolster. Definitely worth it, something you'll use in your life, I think, if you bring this beautiful practice of the physical asana of yoga and of the restorative or relaxation part, block, strap, and a blanket. And if you don't have the strap or the block, grab some towels because we could roll them up and we could use towel instead of this. Today's practice, I'm going to focus on stretching the body glove that stores the stress that we put ourselves under. So when we are in a stress position or in a stress situation, there is tension held in our bodies. I'd like to release that today to unclog and unblock your body and allow free-flowing movement in your joints, in your tissues, and in the connective tissue that wraps you up like a nice little package. All right, so with that said, let's prepare ourselves to begin. If you are feeling chilly, depending on where you are, grab a blanket to wrap around yourself. If you have a bolster or those pillows, putting them underneath your legs will be very nice and supportive. Help to release or reduce tension for the low back. I'll explain a little more there. Let's come all the way down onto the floor. If you have bone health issues, come to the side like I just did. Otherwise, find yourself in a nice position on the floor And I'd like to say to be very thoughtful of your movements from one position to the other. So notice how you do move down to the floor. And if you have osteoporosis or osteopenia, you want to not round the back. So it's important to notice how we move, because sometimes along the way we have issues in our tissues that lead to dysfunctional movement patterns. And over time, they become bigger and bigger issues in your tissues. All right, come all the way down onto your back. Have something underneath your legs or not, just whatever is the choice for you with your body. And let's take the hands alongside the body. Let's bring the arms out to the side. So if you have shoulder issues, keep your shoulders not moving up towards the ears. So keep that upper arm bone a little lower. If you don't have shoulder issues, you could try elevating that upper arm. I find with shoulder issues that could be aggravating for some. So come into a position that right away feels pretty supported and comfortable. And that word supported in itself can actually bring a little relief to your body and mind as you take care of you. Lengthen your neck. So arrange your head in such a way that there's no tension in the neck. Arms are to the side. Noticing what you notice here. Dropping your awareness into the somatic realm, which is the body. So go up and down your body with your awareness, noticing what you notice, and arrange your body in a way that's comforting. A nice thing to do for the lower leg area, which helps to soften the pelvis, the low back, and the hips. This softens the pull that you may be experiencing if you have tightness in these areas. If you allow the knees to fall open towards the sides. So it's a little external rotation in the legs, kind of like frog legs. If you think about frog legs going out to the side, the knees are bent. So slightly externally rotating those knees may release a little pulling that you experience in the pelvic area, the hip, the pelvis, the low back. So find comfort in your body. And then notice if even that's a challenge to find comfort in your body. Bringing your awareness to the jaw, soften the jaw, wiggle the jaw back and forth, side to side. And then allow the lips to touch. Let the jaw soften. Bring your awareness to your breath. And as if you were a witness standing above yourself, notice where the breath goes in your body. Notice which parts of the torso move. And then notice if it's equal on the right side of your lungs and the left side of your lungs. Let's bring your awareness down to your left foot, to the sole of the left foot. And if the sole is free without a sock, if you have bare feet, can you feel the temperature or any sensation of the air up against the sole of your foot? If you have a sock on, can you feel the fabric of the sock touching the sole of your foot, the pads of your toes, the heel? Bring your awareness to your entire left foot and then up to the left ankle. Notice if you're able to sense any movement taking place in the space of the ankle. Bring your awareness up your left lower leg and then up to your left knee. Keeping your awareness in your left knee joint, what do you feel or notice? Bring your awareness up to the left upper thigh, and then the left hip. Notice what you notice along the way. Bring your awareness to your entire left leg, and then feel the heaviness as you soften that leg. Allow the leg to press into whatever is supporting it. And bring your awareness over to the right sole. Feel either the air up against your sole or the fabric of the sock. Where do you end and the air or the sock begins? Bring your awareness to the right ankle joint. And then to the right lower leg. And the right kneecap. And the knee joint. See if you notice any sensations in the right knee. Bring your awareness up your right upper thigh into your right hip joint. And then notice your entire right leg and soften and allow the weight of the leg to go. Release, yield any holding in the right leg. Bring your awareness to your pelvis, to the tushy. And feel where the pressure is at the back of the tushy. And notice, is there more weight on the left side of your tushy or the right side? Or do you feel that equal pressure in the middle of the tushy? Bring your awareness up to the low back and notice any sensations here in the low back. With your exhales, allow a relaxation or a heaviness or a softening to come into your low back as you let go of any tension. Bring your awareness up to the upper back. Feel the pressure, the shoulder blades, the spine. Noticing here if the weight is even or is there a little more on the right side or left. On your next few exhales, allow a softening of your entire torso. Feel the spine up against the floor. Bring your awareness now over to the left palm. So let your awareness be in the palm. And notice if the fingers have began to curl in. So seeing the left fingers, the left palm, go to the center of the left palm with your awareness. Right there in the center. Then feel the back of the hand on the floor. Bring your awareness to your left wrist, your left lower arm, your left elbow, the left upper arm, and the left shoulder. Bring your awareness to your entire left arm and allow the left arm to be heavy, letting it go. Bring your awareness over to the right hand, right in the center of the palm of the hand, that one dot. And right away, feel the back of the hand. Noticing the fingers, the thumb, the pointer finger, the middle finger, the ring finger, and then the pinky. Bring your awareness to your right wrist, to the right lower arm, the right elbow, the right upper arm, and the right shoulder. To your entire right arm as you release and let it go. Bring your awareness up to your neck, to the front of the neck, the back of the neck, the right side of the neck, the left side of the neck, and your entire neck, long, soft. Bring your awareness to the back of the head. Feel the heaviness and the connection of the back of the head on whatever it's touching. Bring your awareness to your mouth. Your lips are touching. Back teeth are separated. Soften your tongue. Bring your awareness to the right cheek and the left cheek. Let your face soften. Bring your awareness to your eyes, to the eyeballs and the sockets, and allow them to soften, to sink heavy and deep. Feel the weight of your head on the floor. Feel the back of the left hand and left elbow. Back of the right hand and right elbow. Feel the upper back. Feel the sacrum, which is the base of your spine and your tushy area. Feel the left leg. Feel the right leg. And allow your awareness to move up and down in your body. To notice if there's any place of tension, any part of your body that's communicating with you. Bring your awareness to your nostrils. Let's take an exhale, strong exhale. Squeeze all the breath out of your body. Inhale, relaxation. Allow relaxation to go everywhere in your body, softening your body. And on the exhale, exhale tension. Inhale, relaxation. Let it go everywhere. Let it dislodge any stored up tension. Let that come out on your exhale. If you notice an area of your body with tension, let the inhale take the word relaxation there. Let it soften and loosen up and dilute whatever it is that's tense. And on your exhale, release it. Releasing that tension on the exhale. Softening the area of your body that needs to soften. Inhaling relaxation. Allow relaxation to come into every single cell of your body. And allow tension wherever it's hiding, wherever it may be, to come and to be released with your exhale. Take a little longer with your exhales. Start to squeeze the exhale out. You could use the chest, you could use the belly to begin to squeeze, squeeze, squeeze every last drop of tension out of your body to allow space for more relaxation on the inhale to enter. Take 3 more breaths like this. You inhale relaxation. You exhale tension. Use your mind to find the subtle areas in the body where tension is being held. Maybe even places you are not able to detect yourself. Allow that inner intelligence to find where it is as you inhale relaxation. This last breath, inhale relaxation. And exhale, long, long exhale to release tension from the past, and from this moment, from your body, from your mind, and from your soul. Give the breath back to the body as you begin to bring your awareness down to your toes. Start to wiggle your toes, just the toes. Then start to bend your feet as if you were trying to make a fist with your foot. Then begin to move the ankles, circular pattern, only articulating the ankles. Then bring the feet so that you could point the feet strongly and flex strongly. Now you're coming into your lower leg. You may even feel the abdominal area because everything is connected. So when we start to move the feet, that goes up the kinetic chain. Pelvic floor is activated, core is activated. Your intelligent body, the deep intelligence of the body. Let's take a knee and start to bend one knee and then start to bend the other knee. Go slow and notice what's triggered or stimulated or coming to your field of awareness when that happens. Then go ahead and rest the legs. Bring your awareness to your fingers as you start to articulate the fingers. There's 27 joints in each hand. So try to articulate each one and let your awareness be there. Go to your left hand first. Are you bending every joint? Even the joint at the top of your fingers? Do you feel anything in particular? Make sure the thumb gets to join the party. Bring your awareness over to your right hand. Start to articulate each and every finger and each and every joint in each and every finger. Then take the hands, open them strongly so you feel a stretch and a pull on the tissue of the hands, and then a very strong fist. So only the hands are moving at this point, but notice you start to feel that in the forearms as the nerves and the ligaments and the tendons that move the hands are connected all the way up to your brain, going through the tissue of the whole arm, the shoulder joint, into the neck and up to the brain. Take your wrists and let's start to actually flex and extend, which is the movement that the wrist is able to do, is to bend and extend. Now we're going to start to roll the wrists, which brings you up into the lower arm bones. One arm bone rolls over the other. This is the rolling of the wrists, is the movement of the two bones in the forearm. Then let's bend the right elbow and the left, and then both. Bring your awareness to your tummy as you begin, and your low back, because we're going to bend the right knee. And when we bend the right knee and we bring the right upper thigh bone closer to our body, there's a muscle attached to your low back. So notice if you feel that. And then bend the left leg. Bring the left leg in. Notice what you feel there. Draw the knees into the chest. Now your hands are touching your knees or your shins. Notice where the palms of the hand, the left palm, feel it touching the flesh, even if you've got clothes on it. Notice the right hand touching the flesh or the leg. Then rock side to side. Bring your awareness now to your low back. Feel how the low back is pressed into the floor. Draw your knees in deeply. If you need to be a little bit wider, sometimes taking the legs a little wider is easier. Perfect timing for the stress of a phone call. Allow that to happen in the background. Take your knees. So take your... All right, thank you, phone. Take your knees side to side. As you rock back and forth side to side, feel where the top ridge of your pelvis is. This is the tendinous part of the muscles of the low back. So for a lot of you that experience low back discomfort, this is a great way to notice that the tendons, which is quite often where we feel muscular discomfort, is where the tendons attach to the muscles, because that's what actually articulates the joints. And the joints are where we experience a lot of wear and tear and movement. So when you go back and forth here on the top ridge of your pelvis, nice little massage for the pelvis. And then I want you to just pay attention and notice how you're feeling now that we did so much somatic grounding there. That whole body scan process really brings the mind into the body. So it's psychosomatic harmonization. And once we achieve somatic harmonization, which means harmony in the physical body, that in turn becomes somatic psychoharmonization. Let's go ahead and roll onto the right side. Cradle your head in your hand. And then use your left hand here. Again, another opportunity to see the way you move and to notice, do you throw your bag of bones around or do you bring intention to your movement patterns? Take your left hand onto the floor, open up the hand, and slowly, as you begin to rise, are you leading with your left shoulder and not your head? Don't let it be the head that goes up to try to pull you up using your neck muscles, your upper back, and your low back. And especially for those of you that have neck and upper back and low back issues, if you're lifting with your head, you're using muscles that are already aggravating for you. So when I say that daily habits and patterns are necessary to notice our stress or to keep ourselves to keep ourselves physically healthy, that's what I mean. How are you moving? And if you're moving so quickly, you're not even slowing down to notice. Am I pulling my head up? Am I aggravating my back or my neck or whatever? So it may seem, I don't know. I know that I feel super mellow right now because I just guided you through a pretty long, deep somatic, psychosomatic harmonization. And I myself feel so somatically and psychically and everythingly relaxed. So hopefully you do too. Okay, let's do a little bit of movement here to wake us up, to bring us into more somatic harmonization. Here's another thing I'd like to say as well too, is that when you're in the place of the body like that, when you go into this place of total awareness in your body, you usually aren't in the place of your mind. So it's a great way to manage your stress. When you're in a place of your mind is going crazy and it's doing all the things that it does, you want to drop into your body to a place of feeling, because right now we were in our prefrontal cortical area. We moved away from our primitive limbic brain during that guided body scan and we came up here. So we already did our brain yoga. That was the brain yoga. All right, bring yourself here onto all fours and actually let's bring the blanket underneath the knees. You may need the blanket underneath the knees. It's always nice to be supportive of your knees. Even if you don't have issues in the knees, I find that it's nice to always take care of them because we really need them. And they are the largest joint in the body. So you could put pillows from your bed here. You could also use nothing. If you have a pretty strong practice and you want to do this flow, having nothing there is definitely going to be much more muscular. So for those of you that want a stronger movement, don't put anything there. And I'll take it away in a second. I just want to guide through this at first. So to begin with, if you have osteoporosis, I want you to keep your back straight. So look how my back is straight. Forehead is on the bolster. The back will stay straight if the tushy stays away from the heel. So don't bend the knees and hips so deeply. You're going to inhale forward. Right when your shoulders get above your elbows and your wrists, you're going to come down. Bend your elbows. Keep them in at your body. Look straight down with your nose towards the bolster. And on the inhale, you're going to lift your torso up, coming to straight arms. This is an extension back bend. And then exhale back to your puppy dog or all the way down in child's pose. Inhale forward, exhale to lower. Inhale, open your throat, open your chest. Exhale to come back. You let your palms be spread. Feel this in your body. A lot of stuff happening here in terms of moving the spine through flexion and extension, moving in the hip joint and the shoulder joint, and stretching upper back, shoulders, articulating hips and knee joint, elbows. Keep moving. I'm going to move this away for those of you that are doing it without. Much different without it. You inhale forward. When you lower down, your elbows stay in at your side. When you come down, you open your body up in your extension. Feel the front belly stretch as well. Stretching the abdominal area. It's really lovely. I'd like you to have as much movement in your spine as possible. And when you come into your extension, move those low ribs away from the top of the pelvis or that pubic bone area. Exhale back. Let's do 2 more. Inhale. Exhale to lower. Inhale. 1 more. And then come all the way back. Bring yourself all the way up. Let's take the wrist, especially if you didn't have the bolster there, a lot more wrist stuff happening there. Take your wrists. Let's come to a spinal balance, bringing yourself onto all fours. Before we do that, a little crawling here back and forth to deeply set almost most of the joints of the body and allowing the spine. This is a nice position for the spine as well, being on all fours. And then strengthening the wrist joint, which is one of the most precarious areas. It's one of the main areas of fractures. So preventing or strengthening or creating more range of motion in this area. If you need to put your hands pretty far forward if they don't like to bend. So just, I would say not to avoid being on your hands, trying to make it as manageable as possible. For those of you that it feels pretty intense. It's probably the first area when I began practicing yoga. It was the hardest area for me to overcome was my wrist joint. They were getting so hard. It was hard. I felt a lot of discomfort in my wrists. Okay, coming onto all fours. Let's inhale to take the right hand away, the left leg away, and then lift your arm and leg off the floor. And then exhale. Let's bring the knee to the elbow. Inhale straight. Now, if you have osteoporosis, only do the knee part and not the arm part. Keep your arms straight out if you have osteoporosis so that you only bring the knee in, rounding lower back, adding flexion to the lower back and not to the upper. Inhale, exhale. 1 more. Inhale, stay here. Stay here, lift your right arm, lift your left leg. If you'd like to add a little challenge, you could take the right foot off the floor. You could try to take the right hand out to the right if you'd like, and then left leg to the left. Adding a little challenge balance here. Come back to center, and then bring yourself all the way down. Take the right hand on the floor. Let's slide on the inhale, left hand away, right knee or right leg, and then inhale to rise. Exhale, draw them towards each other. If you can touch underneath, try that.
You may not be able to. Press your right fingertips into the floor so that you minimize the tension in the right wrist. Inhale. Exhale. Remember, if you have osteoporosis, you're only going to use the leg and not the arm. The arm is going to stay stationary for you. Last one. Come to a static hold. Push your right hand into the floor and then contract your core. If you'd like to do a little challenge lifting that left foot off the floor, you could try by bringing left arm out to the side, right leg out to the side, and then go ahead and bring yourself back to center and then all the way out. So I'd like to do a little bit to lengthen the psoas, because the psoas muscle that attaches onto the lumbar spine is one of the, I think, a real big factor behind a lot of hip issues, back issues. So bring the left leg forward first. Bring your left leg forward. This is probably the muscle that became the most on my radar when I was dealing with my hip injury and issues. And it's become such a focal point on a daily basis of keeping this long. And they say that sitting is the new smoking, because when we are in a seated position, when we're in this fully flexed hip position, we're shortening that psoas, which attaches to our lumbar spine. And I think that when I heard it attach to lumbar spine, I thought, oh my gosh, so many people have low back issues. So I want you to just be in this position here, which there may be a balance aspect to this for some of you. And I want you to push that front leg into the floor and feel how that activates your glutes, your posterior chain. Press that front foot into the floor. Feel how the back contracts when you do that. So when we push our heel into the floor, that stimulates the posterior chain. This can be really helpful for people with knee issues when you're standing or walking upstairs, to activate the back of your body by pushing your heel into the floor, and then it takes all that pressure out of there. Walk your left foot forward even more. And if you're having balance challenges here, if you walk your left foot over to the left, you create more of a wider stance. This will be a little bit more stabilizing for you. So either the foot is more like a tightrope position or railroad tracks. Then take your hands on top of your left thigh. Take your left hand on top of your left thigh, right hand down alongside your body. You're going to inhale to come forward. Let your entire body come forward, and your right arm raises up towards the sky, and then exhale to come back. Now here we are stretching the right psoas. So palm is inward, you lead with your thumb. You inhale to let your arm rise, let your chest rise, let your throat be open, and then exhale to come back. Inhale. Let your throat open and look across the room as well. And then one more, you're going to come all the way forward. Stay here. Now press your right foot into the floor so you minimize that pressure on your right kneecap. And then take your left hand up towards the sky if you can. Push that left foot into the floor to turn on the back of the body to help with the balance. There's a balance aspect here. If you'd like to go a little deeper with that psoas stretch on the right side, take a hold of your right wrist, reach your right arm up towards the sky, and then laterally or side bend your body over towards the left. Pressing the right foot into the floor, pressing the left heel into the floor. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself back up. Take your hands together. Rotate your trunk. So rotate from the lower ribs over to the left. You're not bringing just the neck and the head over. It comes from the lower ribs over to the left. Take the right arm on the outside of the left knee and bring your hands together. Now notice how far forward my body is. My tushy is not here. If you have your tushy here, you're not stretching that right psoas. You want your body weight to be forward. If you'd like to flip your right toe under, you can flip that under and lift the leg off the floor. It's pretty intense, requires quite a bit of muscular strength and muscles that we don't always use in our daily movements. A lot of the stabilizing muscles, a lot of hip joint muscle strength there. Rotating, and then you want your body to be away from your thigh So don't let it rest on your thigh. You want to be lifting away and rotating. Take one more breath. And then you're going to bring yourself slowly back up. Let's take a break for a second. So if you can, sit on top of your heels, sit on top of your heels. If you can't, stay up there and go ahead and roll your wrists. If you are able to sit on your heels, let's stretch the top of the foot a little bit more. So I want you to reach down, grab a knee and bring the knee up. So you're stretching the top of that foot. And don't worry if you can't do this. This doesn't mean that you can't do this class because of that. I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes people feel like, yeah, that's just something that I've noticed, is that there's a defeatist aspect when we can't do certain things in our bodies. If you wanted to stretch the top of the foot when you're up here in this position, you may be able to get a stretch of the top of the foot by lifting the knee off the floor. See if that helps, but try not to put your body weight on the opposite side. See if you're able to stretch your foot, or even to take your foot back a little farther might work for those of you that can't bend your knees. If you can bend your knees, sitting on them and lifting up a leg. Keeping the tops of the feet mobile and communicative is really important for balance, for fall prevention. So always keeping awareness there. Let's go to the other side. So we're going to go now to the right foot is forward. The right foot is forward, and make sure the foot is pretty far forward. Because if the foot is not far forward enough, when you come forward, you might just be moving your body here. And it's really that back leg and that psoas on the foot that's on the knee that's on the ground that we're working on here. Take your right hand onto your thigh. Press that right foot into the floor so you feel the activation of the right glute. Learning how to use different parts of your body to keep you safe it's a stress management tool in terms of protecting joints and learning how to move well functionally so that we minimize wear and tear in our body. So let's say future stress prevention of joints. Take your left hand down alongside your body, right hand on your thigh. You're going to inhale when you come forward. Feel that stretch in the top of the left thigh. Exhale to come back. Inhale, open your throat, look across the room, wherever you are, so that when your arm comes up, you're lengthening yourself, lengthening the body. And then one more. You want to feel what you feel and feel along the way a stretch that feels appropriate to your body. Come forward. If you can, take both hands up towards the sky, pressing the top of the left foot and the sole of the right foot. Then if you'd like to laterally flex, you take hold of that left wrist, you reach your arm up, and then you bend over towards the right, stretching the left side of your body. Take one more breath, and then take your hands together. It's the lower ribs that we're going to move to the side. So you lengthen your body weight's forward, and then you rotate your body over to the right. Take the left arm on the outside of the right knee. So this is a challenge. If some of you are doing this and saying to yourself, wow, it's got balance in it, there might be a lot of wiggling around, your proprioceptive nervous system has to figure out where you are in space. If you feel a lot of pressure on that back knee, push that foot into the floor to distribute the pressure that's on that lower leg. Lengthen your spine and rotate. If you'd like to flip the toe under and lift the knee off, or even if you can't get the leg up, but you try it. And then for those of you that have issues where one side functions better than the other, notice that. Maybe you spend a little more time on the weaker side getting stronger, or don't always strengthen the strong side. Allow the other side to catch up or to be more equal. Take one more breath. And then you bring yourself back up and you bring yourself all the way out. Take the arms, let's shake the arms. So I think that that's an important thing to speak about, is noticing the aspects of one side being stronger, one side being tighter, and working towards getting the stronger or weaker or tighter side to be parallel or to be as strong as or in harmony with. Because what does that mean for us if one side's always stronger or more limber? That's going to cause dysfunction in the body. Let's take the left hand, bend the left wrist, bring your right hand, stretch, feel that stretch up the forearm. I think this is beautiful. I love the way this feels. And couldn't this be also a daily activity? You could do this anywhere when you're watching the news or whatever it is you're doing. Take your hand. Let's do this. I like to say, think about our ancestors, think about our grandparents, our great-grandparents, and think about all the activity that took place in their lives on a daily basis, the physical movement aspect. Let's come to the other side. The physical movements that happen in their lives, and think about us and how much more sedentary we are than they. And then start bringing a little bit more movement into our lives. Let's come to the other hand. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Feel that stretch. And go ahead and shake your wrists. Let's do, before we go down to the floor, a little bit of body weight for the legs stretching. And this is usually a challenge when I'm in class teaching this with people, because I can't see you guys here, but I do see people that I work with in group settings or Zoom calls or privately. So I do see bodies moving now, even in these times. But in class, this was always a really challenging one. So to come to a spread leg position, if you elevate yourself on the blanket, I folded my blanket in two. And then when you do come down, if you take the flesh of the buttocks, it'll expose the pelvis in a way that allows you to find a nice alignment position in the body. And that's usually something that feels pretty good. And then with this wide stance here, you may feel, so some experience it back here. There's about 800 muscles in our body. So we're all going to experience things differently. And even if the intention here is to stretch the adductor muscle group, I find that there's other areas of tightness that people experience. So come into this wide stance, then see if you can come into a flexion of your legs. If you do want to deepen the stretch, the movement forward is here at the hip joint and not here in the thoracic spine and head and neck. So it's not trying to get your body towards the ground by bending your head. It's taking the hip joint flat back. So keep your spine in that neutral position and bring yourself forward so that you come into a flat back position, only of course for those that have this range of motion in your body. And then walk your hands over to one leg, still keeping that nice long spine, and then walk your hands over to the other leg and just notice what you notice. And if there is tightness, notice how you react to that. Notice if there's a frustration in you from that, because that's what can happen. Just notice. And then think about this tissue. If you do have tightness in your tissue, then that restricts that flow of fluids, whether it's the blood, the lymphatic fluid, or the nerves that need to communicate to the muscles to turn on and to let your body know where you are in space. And the study that came out in August showed that when we stretch our muscles, we actually stretch blood vessels. So this is not just woo-woo talk. Take the soles of your feet together, knees are out to the side, right? That's what Dr. Fishman shared with us in one of my trainings recently, is that the study in August shows that stretching muscles stretches blood vessels. So let's stretch our blood vessels, maybe hopefully dislodging any kind of sticky stuff that's on the walls of them, maybe, who knows, or at a minimum, making them longer and creating, like freeing up some flow. Soles of the feet are together, again, bringing the body forward. This is more adductor strengthening, and the adductors are attached onto the pelvis. So they have an effect on what the position is of your pelvis. So for people with low back issues, this is a great way to release some of that tension of the body and the held position that can be either impinging things or restricting things, whatever it is. So bringing this fluidity into your body. Let's bring ourselves now. We're going to come down onto the ground. We are going to use the strap and the block here, doing a little bit for head and neck
and a little bit more of the feet. So go ahead and grab, if you don't have a block, it could be a towel rolled up.
So take your block and strap to the side. So if you don't have any bone health issues and you want to articulate your spine and come all the way down through flexion, go ahead. If you have bone density issues, you want to bring yourself to the side to not round the upper spine, just being very thoughtful and intelligent and aware of movements. Let's take the blanket actually away from the head to begin. So take it away from the head, and if it's excruciating for you to have no blanket, you could go ahead and put a little tiny bit, but as little as possible. We're going to do a bridge flow to release upper back and neck tension. Bring the block between your knees. Keep your feet where they go, so don't walk them too close to your body. And then lengthen your head so that it's the center of your head that touches the floor and the chin comes down towards your chest. Palms face the body, thumbs are up towards the sky. Bring your awareness to your feet. Try to have your feet block distance. Squeeze the block, and on the inhale, push your feet into the floor, squeeze the block, begin to lift the tushy off the floor. Start to lift the left arm with that, and then roll your head. So feel your head rolling on the floor. You're not picking it up and moving it to the right. You are rolling it on the floor. Thumb touches the floor if you can. And on the exhale, you slowly bring your head back up to neutral. The tushy comes to the floor and the hand comes down alongside the body. Inhale, tushy rises, hand rises, leading with the thumb, palm is in. Head rotates towards the left. Exhale to rise. Move with breath and this movement. Inhale to rise. Exhale to lower. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. Go slow here. Go with your own breath. Go as slow as you can go. Notice if the arm's a little wobbly here when you do this. Now we have the shoulder blades on the ground, so the arm bone and some of the muscles don't have the help of the shoulder in the way that they do when the shoulders are free. So this is just good to free up, letting certain muscles do the work themselves without allowing the bigger muscles to come to their rescue. And really articulate that neck so that you move side to side. A lot of nerves come from the brain through the neck to stimulate either different organs or different aspects of us, fingers, hands. Also, the heart, the supply to the heart comes off cervical spine 3, 4, and 5. So let's free up the flow. And notice now if you're feeling a little bit in your tushy, and if your legs are pretty far away from you, this is glute minimus that gets to get some action here. And then when you finish up with the right hand in the air and the head to the left, let that be your last movement. And then bring yourself back to center. Walk your feet as close as you could get them to your body. We're going to do a little bit more work here for the extension muscles and the muscles that keep the body in extension, the back of the spine in extension. So this is good for postural support, spinal alignment. And if you have any disc herniations in your lower lumbar, this can help to reposition those disc herniations or help them. Taught to me by Dr. Fishman, so I'm not just woo-woo, but doctor of physical medicine. This is what he does in his practice. And he said he's actually able to get a lot of healing in the lumbar spine with people with disc herniations. Here's the things you need for that. You're going to need to squeeze the block like crazy, turning on the adductors and that support. Allow the back to touch the floor, and then you're going to squeeze the tushy. So you're activating glutes, you're squeezing the block, and then do not look side to side when you come up. So keep your head on the floor, feel that center head, squeeze the block, squeeze the tushy. Arms are alongside the body. Close your eyes, go inside your body. Feel as you squeeze the block and you squeeze your tushy and you push your feet into the floor. Feel the tushy leaving the floor. Then feel the low back and feel the low ribs starting to leave the floor. Then feel the middle ribs leaving the floor. So lift up as high as you can, lifting your rib cage up. Start to slide the shoulder blades closer to the center of the body. And you may need to bend your elbows. Bend your elbows, let your upper arm bones help to press into the floor to lift the rib cage. Squeeze the block, squeeze the tushy. Don't lose that. And then lift those lower ribs and middle ribs away from the floor as much as you can, lifting them up towards your nose. Feel the weight in your upper back, not going into the head or the neck. Squeeze the block. Knees are moving away from you. So strengthening the back of your body here to support you. Squeeze the block, lengthen the knees away from you. Lift the back ribs off the floor. If you're able to clasp your hands, you could go ahead and clasp. For those of you that know how to clasp, you might need to slide the shoulders a little closer. Make sure that the weight of the body stays in the upper back. Lift the shoulder blades towards the heart. Let them help to push and lift the spine and the rib cage off of the floor. Squeeze the block, squeeze the tushy, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. If you need to come down, come down. And if you could stay up for 3 more breaths, stay up for 3 more breaths. Squeeze the block, squeeze the tushy, lengthen the knees away. Let the shoulder blades help. And on your last exhale, bring yourself slowly. Articulate the spine 1 vertebra at a time. So as the spine comes down, when you get to the lower ribs, lift your heels off the floor and allow the low back to touch the floor. And then let the pelvis touch. Take the block out. Let's do a supported bridge pose. This is great for the heart. So walk the feet a little bit closer to you. Now, the only people that shouldn't do this are people with uncontrolled high blood pressure. So if you do have high blood pressure and it's controlled with medications, this is okay for you. But if you're uncontrolled, you don't want to lift your pelvis above your heart. So press your feet into the floor. Let's lift the pelvis up. You're going to put a block or a pillow or something underneath your body and begin with a posterior tilt. So it's that top edge of the pelvis I was speaking about at the beginning today, that you were rolling over, that tendinous part where the muscles attach. Allow that top part to touch. You may need to lift your rib cage away a little bit. Create space between the top of the pelvis and the bottom of the ribs, stretching the low back here. And then the feet go onto the floor. You allow the back of the pelvis, the sacrum is supported on that block. And notice what you notice here in your body. Notice how this feels for you. You can put your hands on your hip bones if you like, pressing your hip bones towards the block. And then lower ribs are moving away from the pelvis. Let the hands go down alongside your body. Feel that lengthening in your body, elevation of the pelvis. This is nice and therapeutic for the low back. And really therapeutic in a physiological sense and in your biochemistry, because now you're bringing this blood flow from the lower extremities to the heart and to the neck. So you're actually delivering blood to the heart and to the brain. Make sure your heart presses up towards the sky. So don't collapse in your sternum bone area. Lift the sternum bone up. If you'd like to bring the legs up to the sky, this is a little bit deepening the aspects of the inversion. This is called an inversion. So turning ourselves upside down, so to speak, turning ourselves to the opposite of the way that gravity works. And if you do have the legs up, if the legs are far away from the body, that's a lot of strain on the core and on that psoas we were working to lengthen earlier. So if your legs are having a hard time staying up, you could bend your knees and make sure that this femur bone, this upper leg bone, stays coming right out of your pelvis. So don't let it be away from your body. You want that to be right up. And try not to have your knees too close to your chest, because you don't want to have a collapsing of the torso. So try the legs in the air, and if you can't maintain that, then maybe placing them on the floor is better for you. There's other ways to do the inversion other than this. And when we're here, let's inhale to point the feet. Go slow, especially if you get crampy. Inhale to point, exhale to flex. Inhale, point, exhale, flex. And then you're going to slowly articulate those ankle joints by going around in a circle. Please go slow. Look at your feet. Go really, really slow. I know slower is harder. And then go in the other direction. And then let's go ahead and bend the knees. Bring the feet onto the floor. Allow that to relax. Press your feet into the floor. Lift up, take the block out. Let's go ahead. Bring the blanket back behind your head. And let's take your strap. Bring your strap on your left foot. We'll do a little stretch here at the hamstring. Doing a lot today to release the muscles that are either attached onto the pelvis or the low back. So to create a little space between the lower body and the upper body. If you'd like to wrap your hands around the strap, if you'd like to take the right leg straight, go ahead and do that. And then draw that left leg back towards the wall behind you. If you have bone density issues and you want to strengthen your pelvis, keep your knees straight when you do this. So you pull on the origin of the hamstring muscles attached to the pelvis. If the knee is bent, that's okay. You're a little bit more in the belly of the hamstring when you stretch. All is good, depending on what your needs are. Draw that leg back. Feel that stretch behind your thigh. Bring your breath to that stretch. And then go ahead and release. Let's pull on the strap that's in the right hand. Let your kneecaps still point back towards your face. Pull the strap in the right hand so that you're stretching the side where that ankle joint is. So pulling on the strap so the sole of your left foot is going to point towards the right. And you should feel that stretch along the left heel or ankle joint area. And then go ahead and bring yourself back up. Let's take the right foot, put the right foot in the strap. You're going to stretch that right leg. Let the left leg lengthen slowly. And then you're going to draw that right leg back. Feel the stretch wherever you feel it. Make sure your right waist stays nice and long. So don't let the waist get really short. That's that beautiful protection aspect of the body. When the body experiences something, and I began today talking about the load of stress and what is manageable for you. So when you come into a strong stretch in your body, there's other parts of you that respond because they feel this demand, and it's at the level of the hamstring, but you're also going to get that up higher here where the waist will shorten because it's trying to be protective. So our body is trying to protect us. It's really fascinating, actually. Although we're not always in danger. And that's the other thing, is noticing what's appropriate amount of stress and what is really something we have, what is dangerous. So being able to really detect that yourself. Take one more breath like this. And then bring yourself back to a neutral. Let's pull on the strap that is in the left hand slowly so that the sole of the foot starts to point towards the left, and make sure your kneecap stays pointing straight back. If your kneecap goes over to the right, you're actually externally rotating your hip. You're doing all the movement up here, and I want the movement to be the other part of your leg, which is your ankle joint. So it may take a little time to get that. Pulling on the strap that's in the left foot. Let's pull on the strap in the left hand. Take one more breath. Then go ahead and bring yourself back to neutral. Let's bring the knees into our chest. And as we begin, so will we end. So I want you to feel that back and forth across the top of your pelvis as you draw your knees in, and pull them in pretty deep here. If you'd like to come into a happy baby to end, this even puts more pressure on the low back, adds a little more flexion in the body. For those of you that are able to hold on to your feet and do your happy baby, that may be available to some of you, and don't have to do that. Just feel your body drop into that place of somatic awareness that you began with. And it's time to go into our Shavasana. So if you'd like to grab the bolster or whatever it is that you began, bringing yourself into that Shavasana position and then staying with your breath when you're in your Shavasana. Let everything go. Notice your body. Do another body scan to notice what you notice. Let go, let go. Govinde Mukande, Udare Apare, Hariyam Kariyam, Nimame Akame, 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 Govinde
So gently begin to bring your awareness to your toes, to your fingers. As you begin to bring movement to the toes and to the fingers, to the ankles, to the wrists, and then bring your awareness to your knees. One at a time, bend them and notice what you notice in the low back. So being in your body as you move. Bring the knees into the chest. One last time, rocking across the top edge of your pelvis. At the back of your body, feel the back on the floor. Then roll all the way onto your right side. Using the left hand, you're going to gently push yourself up. Notice if you're leading with your left shoulder. Try not to lift the head up. Let it be the arm and the muscles of the arm that lift you up. Bring yourself into a position that's comfortable for you to end the practice with sound. Bringing the hands together. Feel the palms touch, feel the fingertips touch, and then find the sternum bone with the thumbs. Lengthen the back neck, chin slightly down towards the chest. We're going to close with sound. The Om sound is the Ah, O, M. This is the sacred human sound, our sound on an exhalation. Take a deep breath all the way down to your belly. We bow to each other in Namaste. Namaste. That's what I'm going to say. So I want to say thank you so much for practicing with me always, whether it's 2020 or before 2020. I sent out an email yesterday thanking you all, and on there is a link to a 12 days of healthy habits that I'm sharing with you through the holidays. Some of them are food or nutrition based, because in addition to yoga therapist, I'm also a certified health coach. So there's going to be some dietary healthy habits to implement into your life. And there are going to also be some yogic, whether that's breath, mindset, or physical body practices. So if you haven't already, you should have all received the email. And if you didn't receive the email, go to my website, DebbieRobinson.com, sign up for the newsletter. And there's a link there to the 12 days. Joanne, yeah, let's hope for a better time. Just wanted to share something else with you. Okay, wait. There's so much stuff. Okay, here, George is sharing his jokes with us. I worked at a shoe store, and one day a customer asked for some replacement inserts. After a lot of soul searching, I came up with nothing. Number 2, I bought a book called A Guide to Surgical Procedures. I opened it up, the appendix was missing. That's great. Vi, thank you. And it's so good to have you back. Nancy, you're welcome. Michael, you're welcome. Carolyn, Joanne, yes, Joanne. Lauren, and Frida, I wanted to say, and I might have mentioned this to some of you, but I was listening to a doctor this week, I believe on Tuesday or Wednesday, and she called this not a pandemic, but an endemic. And she said that this is not going to go away, meaning that the coronaviruses have been around for a long time. This is one that we haven't seen at this level before, and that it may be maybe never that it goes away. And I don't mean it at the level it is now, because of course there'll be vaccines and other things. But what she was really speaking about is how important it is for us to have our inner terrain as strong as possible, so that if we are faced with this, or if we become in contact or infected with it, that we are actually in a receptive place to fight it. I'm trying to think of another word for fight, because fight just sounds so crazy to me, but whatever, fight it. And some of the people that go into the coronavirus with higher levels of vitamin D and vitamin A and other aspects of their health have better outcomes when they are infected. So it really is important for us to take care of our body, our mind, and our soul. And today's practice very much, hopefully, was to raise your awareness to the connection of that, the psychosomatic aspect. So anyway, I want to say thank you so much for practicing with me. Let me see what else. Let me see if I can, Stevie. Aw, thank you, Stevie. Well, I feel the same way, you guys, because for me, yoga is the answer, and I don't know how people live their lives without yoga. That is a true statement. I say it all the time, and I completely mean it. What is everybody doing out there when their back, their hips, their knees, their physical body is dysfunctional or has so much wear and tear in it, and now you're dealing with so much pain and suffering? Or, so that's just one aspect, but then you got the mind and you have all of that, and we need something to be able to realize that we're spiritual, emotional beings, and we have to take care of ourselves. Yes, Cindy and George. Yes, Lynn and Dave, Joanne. Yeah, and Joanne, not just learn to live with it. Yeah, I guess maybe that's a good term, learn to live with it, but also boost ourselves up for everything that we're exposed to, because every year there's the potential of the flu becoming such a big issue for many. And I will say this, that I noticed last year, so I taught at Torrance Memorial since 2014. So 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And I would say last year, 2019, and then early 2020 was the worst flu season that I remember, because that cough that was lingering for people, wow, so many people would come to class and cough. And so it was a pretty bad flu season. And my family, all of them got it. And they all said it's the worst cold they've ever had, or flu. And when I went to Bali with my son, the whole week we were in Bali, my son told me, Mom, I have never been so sick in my life. So very interesting that I think that we're going to be subjected to or exposed to a lot of worse strains. So that means we need to be more healthy than ever. And so this is everyday lifestyle and behaviors to keep ourselves as healthy as possible. All right, thank you, thank you. I have a lot to do for the end of the year. I'm creating a lot for 2020 because I hope to be a valuable source for you all in terms of how can we keep ourselves healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So thank you for practicing with me. Sign up for my 12 days of healthy habits. It's in my newsletter through my website, DebbieRobinson.com. Yes, thank you. Have a beautiful Saturday, and I will see you when I see you.